My name is Mr. Gable, and I am 63 years old, living here in Dublin, a city that holds more memories than I could ever count. My small flat, with its worn armchair and the scent of old books, has been my home for decades, a quiet haven after years of working at the docks. Every morning, the first thing I do is brew a strong cup of tea, the clinking of the mug a familiar comfort in the quiet dawn. I watch the city wake from my window, the soft gray light slowly painting the rooftops, and I reflect on the day ahead. My pension is small, just enough to cover the basics, but it leaves little room for the unexpected. Lately, the unexpected has arrived in the form of a stubborn leak in my kitchen ceiling, a constant drip that echoes my own quiet anxieties. It's not just the leak, you see. It's the constant worry that one day the roof might just give way entirely, threatening the only home I've ever truly known. I miss my wife, Mary, every single day. Her laughter, her gentle touch, the way she used to hum old Irish tunes while pottering in the garden. She's been gone these past 5 years, and the silence in the flat sometimes feels heavier than any physical burden. I often find myself staring at her photograph on the mantelpiece, wondering if I'm doing right by her memory, if I'm living a life she'd be proud of. That's my internal nemesis, I suppose, the gnawing doubt that tells me I'm just fading away, becoming invisible, that my best years are behind me and I have nothing left to offer. It's a quiet, insidious fear, far more dangerous than any leaking roof, because it threatens to seep into your spirit and drown the last embers of hope. I try to stay busy, tending to my tiny window box garden, reading the newspaper, but the ache of loneliness and the worry about my future are always there, humming beneath the surface like a low, mournful tune. One blustery afternoon while walking home from the local market, my eyes caught something gleaming in a large skip, a metal container for rubbish just outside the park. It was an old bicycle, rusty and discarded, but beneath the grime I could see the ghost of a proud, bright blue frame. It brought back a sudden, vivid memory of my own first bicycle, a bright red beauty my father had painstakingly fixed up for me when I was a boy. The feeling of freedom, the wind in my hair, the world rushing past as I pedaled down the lane. A small, almost forgotten spark ignited within me. Perhaps I thought I could fix this one up. It would be a project, something to fill the long, quiet afternoons. Maybe I could even sell it, just enough to patch that persistent leak in my kitchen ceiling. The thought gave me a flicker of purpose, a small challenge to push back against the creeping despair. I wrestled the heavy, tangled metal out of the skip, dragging it carefully back to my flat, the metal groaning in protest. The first few weeks were filled with a surprising kind of joy. I spent hours in my small back shed, cleaning off the rust, stripping the faded paint. I carefully took the bicycle apart, piece by painstaking piece, remembering old tricks my father had taught me. But soon the reality of my situation began to sink in. The wheels were beyond repair, the gears rusted solid, the seat torn. New parts were expensive, far more than I had anticipated. I'd walk to the bike shop, holding a broken part in my hand, only to be told the replacement cost more than I could spare. I tried to make do with what I had, patching a puncture with an old rubber glove, bending a bent spoke back into shape, but it was never quite right. I twisted my back trying to loosen a particularly stubborn nut, and the pain shot through me for days, making it difficult even to stand. My old tools, faithful companions for many years, began to fail me. My wrench slipped, scraping my knuckles raw. My small pension, already stretched thin, seemed to vanish with every small purchase. The kitchen leak worsened with every passing rain, a constant reminder of my financial woes. I looked at the half-finished bicycle, gleaming in places, still stubbornly broken in others, and felt a profound sense of failure. It was just another thing I couldn't quite finish, another dream that felt just out of reach. Then came the day the storm hit. It was a torrential downpour, the kind that whips through Dublin with an angry roar. I had managed to sand the frame smooth, preparing it for a fresh coat of bright blue paint, a hopeful shade I'd saved up for. I'd carefully covered my belongings in the flat, but the old roof, weakened by years of neglect and my inability to afford proper repairs, finally gave way. With a sickening crunch, a section of the kitchen ceiling collapsed, sending a cascade of cold, dirty water pouring into my small living room. It soaked my old rug, ruined some of my cherished photographs, and even damaged a box of the few tools I had left. I stood there, water pooling around my feet, staring at the half-finished bicycle in the corner, now splattered with dirty water, looking utterly defeated. The bright blue paint I had bought lay uselessly on the workbench. It felt like the world itself was conspiring against me. All the effort, all the hope I had poured into this simple project seemed to mock me. What was the point? I whispered to the empty room, my voice choked with despair. What was the point of trying when everything just seemed to fall apart? I felt the heavy weight of loneliness pressing down on me, thicker and colder than the water now soaking my socks. I felt truly, utterly alone with nothing but the silence and the drip, drip, drip of the leaking roof for company. Giving up felt like the only sensible option. The next morning, the world felt heavy and gray, just like the sky outside. I walked slowly to the local hardware shop, not to buy paint, but just to look for a cheap tarp, anything, to cover the gaping hole in my ceiling. My shoulders sagged, and I probably looked every bit as broken as I felt. Liam, the owner, a young man with a kind smile, had known me since he was a boy, often coming into my shed for advice on fixing his own bicycle punctures. He noticed my downcast face. "Mr. Gable," he said, his voice gentle, "you look like you've seen a ghost." "Everything all right?" Usually I keep my troubles to myself, a private man, but that morning the words just tumbled out. I told him about the roof, the ruined flat, the bicycle that sat half-finished, a symbol of all my dashed hopes. I told him how I just couldn't afford to fix anything anymore, how I felt like I was drowning. Liam listened patiently, his brow furrowed. Then a kindness I never expected bloomed in his eyes. "Mr. Gable," he said, "you helped me more times than I can count when I was a wee lad, always fixed my bike no matter how much I'd smashed it up. I can't let you drown." He not only gave me a heavy-duty tarp on credit, but he also wrote down a phone number for a community initiative that helped seniors with urgent home repairs. "And that bicycle," he added, his gaze softening, "I saw it yesterday when you were bringing it home. It's going to be a beauty. My sister works at the foster home down the road, and they're always looking for things for the children. I'm sure one of those kids would love it more than anything." He then gave me a discount on all the bicycle parts I needed to finally finish the job, telling me to pay him back when I could. A warmth, like a gentle ray of sunshine, spread through me. It wasn't just the tarp or the discount. It was the unexpected connection, the feeling that someone saw me, truly saw me, and cared. It reignited that small spark of hope I thought I had lost forever. With renewed purpose, I finished restoring the bicycle. I painted it a brilliant, hopeful blue, polished every chrome piece until it gleamed, and added a soft, comfortable new seat. It was a masterpiece, a testament to resilience. When the bicycle was finally finished, shining gloriously in the afternoon sun, I carefully wheeled it through the quiet streets of Dublin to the foster home Liam had told me about. My heart thumped with a mixture of nervousness and a lightness I hadn't felt in years. I carefully propped it against the wall near the entrance, a vibrant splash of color against the dull brick. I pulled out a small piece of paper I had prepared, a simple note, and tucked it carefully under the seat. It read, "For the fastest dreamer, may your journeys be filled with joy and your spirit always fly free." I didn't wait around to see who would find it, just turned and walked away, a quiet smile on my face, feeling a profound sense of peace. The community initiative came and fixed my roof, slowly, steadily, piece by piece, and the drip, drip, drip of my anxieties began to fade. I started volunteering at the foster home, teaching the children how to fix punctures, adjust brakes, and safely ride their own bicycles. I told them stories, listened to their dreams, and felt my own sense of purpose return, stronger and more vibrant than before. The isolation that had been my constant companion slowly gave way to laughter and connection. Years passed, and my life found a new rhythm, filled with the joy of giving and the warmth of newfound friendships. One bright summer afternoon, I was at the annual local fair, watching the vibrant displays and listening to the joyous music. A young woman, perhaps 18 or 19, approached me, her eyes bright with a familiar sparkle. She had a confident air, a quiet strength about her. "Mr. Gable?" she asked, a shy but genuine smile gracing her lips. I nodded, a little confused, but something in her gaze was deeply familiar. "You probably don't remember me," she continued, "but you left a bicycle at the foster home many years ago. It was blue, and you left a note." She reached into her small purse and pulled out a worn, faded piece of paper. It was my note, "For the fastest dreamer." She looked at me, her eyes glistening. "That bicycle," she said softly, "it was my first real freedom. It made me believe I could go anywhere, do anything. I've just won a scholarship to study engineering to design new, lighter bicycles for people who need them." A tear, unbidden, welled up in my own eye. It wasn't just the bicycle she remembered. It was the hope, the belief in dreams that I had unknowingly passed on. In that moment, surrounded by the lively fair, I knew with absolute certainty that even the smallest act of kindness could ripple out, touching lives in ways we could never imagine, and that things truly, magically do get better.